very exciting. The first time you're able to get everybody back together and not really worry so much about, hustling on and off the field and on the clock, off the clock. We've got our 3 hours and 20 minutes today, and we plan on covering a lot of things. We're kind of wanting to establish exactly what we're putting emphasis on, and and we will do that. It's about pitching, defense, and base running, the three things that can never go south. Hitting's going to fluctuate, but the constants and winning consistently, pitching, defense, and base running, and we're going to put emphasis on that.
Hey, Meat, entering these 3 weeks run up to the season, how much do you still have to determine as far as starting lineup, starting pitchers, bullpen, how everything's going to kind of shake out?
Everything. I mean, literally, Nelly's won the job behind the plate, but that's literally the only job that I would say is a slam dunk. And, our best roles for our arms is important for us to figure out. Sure, Parker Messick's going to be somewhere in the rotation, but I'm not ready to anoint him as our Friday night guy. He's pitched very well. It's nothing that he's done. It's just we have a ton of guys that can really pitch. And, the versatility of some of our players is good because we're going to be, it's hard to think that we're not going to have, some COVID issues and injuries and stuff like that. So practice is going to take a little bit longer because we've got to explain it. So this guy knows how to play short and knows where he needs to be at second. Outfielders, they got to learn to play all of them. So we're going to be bouncing guys around a lot.
Hey, Meat, to Chris's point, with so much time left before you start games then and so much is still up in the air, what are you telling your players at this point?
Just to listen. They've really got to be sponges. Generally you're working with a guy here, but now it's stopped and everybody's got to listen. This is where you've got to be on a cut. This is where, on a bunt defense, everybody's got to know how to play. If you're an infielder, you better be able to play all of them because the show's going to go on. Whoever's available, we're going to play with them. And we've got to get our games in. That is paramount. So just, keep advising about, bubbling up and doing smart things off the field and being versatile and things have got to sink in. We can't have to go over this for them to understand. They got to lock in.
Hey, man, will the condensed preseason affect how you guys manage in terms of pitching staff and things like that, in terms of how you get into the flow of what you want to be later in the season? And then also watching other sports and how they've handled pauses and things like that. Have you been able to see that and see if there's any best practices that work during those situations?
No, we've been fortunate, knock on wood. So far so good. And, the regards to, why do you ask me two questions, Ira? I cannot handle two questions. Ask me one and then ask me the other. What was the first one? I've already forgotten.
I forgot too. No, it was, I'm going to ask the second. I like the second one better. I'm going to go with that. I may have to duck out of here halfway through and Corey's going to tag in. So that's why I wanted to get both of mine in. I'll ask the second one. The second one was have you watched any other teams? Because you don't know what's going to happen during the course of a season. You might be rolling and have a pause or whatever. The men's basketball team was struggling a little bit and had a pause, and it might have worked in their favor. Have you watched or talked to coaches from other sports, either football, basketball, either at Florida State or other schools, or have you watched to see how teams handle just the unexpected? And is there anything you can learn kind of going into, because you don't know what to prepare for?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and just talking to coaches, is they get out of shape. When you pause and say, "Oh, college kid, you're on your own. Go exercise." Yeah, right. So that leadership, the Chase Haynes, the Reese Alberts, they've got to, make sure that they kind of have those captains, workouts and run and make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. And I think Coach Hamilton has shown exactly that's how you do it. That's one heck of a basketball team.
Elijah was a bit dinged up in the fall, and we didn't see him much. I just guessing what's his status right now, and how powerful does he look with the extra weight he's added on?
Well, he's been very impressive. He's got a bad hamstring right now. That comes with the territory, but he's still able to take BP, he can move around. He just has to be careful with it. They got to wrap him up every day, and we're expecting another 10 days probably, and then he'll be full speed then. But the weight is really good weight, and I can't wait for people to, see the transformation, how much better he looks. And his power is, immense. The problem is he's losing too many baseballs, and our baseballs are shipment for the year stuck out in California, and we can't get them for 5 weeks. So I tell him if he hits it out full side, he's got to go get them. If he hits it out opposite field, I'll go get it.
Good problem, though. Those are the good problems you like to have as a coach. Coach, Nander, is he a guy that's developed or grown more comfortable? And do you know if short or second is going to be his home, and just your impressions of him this offseason?
Yeah, he's been, since we went straight right-handed, he's been a lot better at the plate. That's his natural side. We discussed that earlier about, I couldn't believe he'd never told me he just started, hitting left-handed. I thought he had done it his whole life. But, he's been more comfortable hitting right-handed. I think it's freed him up, instead of being the jack of all trades, master of none type situation. And, he's played real well defensively. As far as where he's going to be, I don't know. We've got, again, I want him to learn all of them, so that we can, when we have those issues with whatever it is, injuries or COVID, that, but he'll be somewhere.
Dylan, someone that's going to find work on the mound as well as potentially first base, or do you think he'll specialize in just one or the other?
You said Dylan, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Dylan, he's both. Absolutely both. He's throwing the ball as good as I've ever seen him throw it. And he's another one that we hadn't planned on having a chance at the rotation, but he's pitched so well that there's a decent chance. He's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, but he will be at both spots. And DH, stuff like that. We're gonna do a better job of really, because he is throwing so well. We used to try to throw him building up twice a week, and then playing defense is he just couldn't handle it. So now we're just once a week, but we're going to build him up as a starter to maximize ourselves there.
How important is it this year to build up not just 3 starters or a week and a midweek starter, but to have the flexibility of if you lost a weekend starter for a weekend, just to have multiple guys that you can throw out there for starts? Yeah,
that's what we're doing. We generally build up 5, and you'll find your 4 out of that, but we're building up 8 this year. We have to, because you never know what's going to happen. So thank goodness it's a year that we've got depth and we've got guys that can do it. And that's the plan, is to build them all up. You need to, shift gears and take somebody and make them a closer. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to all of a sudden, oh no, we need another starter. Let's build him up.
Sorry to keep asking about specific players, despite the fact that you say you don't know what's going to happen with these guys. Is Tyler Ahern, is he a guy that you think will settle into a relief role, or is he a guy that, I know a few years ago you gave him 1 start? Could he grow into that role, or do you like where he's at coming out of the pen?
I like him coming out of the pen. That doesn't mean, that we're not going to have, there's going to be times we're going to have to use openers, just go give us 5 outs and, go get them. But he's a guy that can do that. He's old enough. Nothing phases him anymore. But I do like him best out of the pen. I think his stuff is the best. He comes in, get you lightning in a bottle, get you a strikeout, or throw that one seamer and get you, double play ball, something along those lines.
You waited pretty much most of your natural life to finally get this job meet. And I mean, you got 20 games, 16 games or whatever it was last year. Did you take anything away from that, whether it's you learning as the main guy, or anything your players did, or was that like a lifetime ago? Did you really not take much from that and just focus on what you have now?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. It's little things that I never really had to deal with. Dealing with umpires, the time, the raising money, stuff like that, the boss is really good at. I never, did any of that. And I've come to learn that financials are very important. And, I'm getting better at it. And, the main thing that I want to get out, and I need to be reminded of it every single time, I'm in front of people and the media or what have you, is we've got to create an environment this year. Our guys feed off that. They're used to it. Yes, we're at 25%, but the fans, we've got to have you. You can't come, either give them away, get them on StubHub, but we've got to maximize, and get Hauser rocking as best we can, because it's a huge advantage, as everybody knows.
Do you like the schedule? Did you like how it's set up? You got some issues with it? Just wondering where you kind of stand after it finally got released.
Well, we had to jam all the midweeks in early, because if you do play makeup games, I left everything open except for one Tuesday, which I don't know if I'm supposed to announce it or not, but I guess I just did. But we're going to play Florida Gulf Coast May 11th. So, but the whole month of May, those midweeks are wide open except for that 11th, because our line of thinking is if we can't play, or someone can't play us or whatever, we'll smash them in May to get all of our games in. So it's kind of a, top heavy at the beginning at the workload. I'd much rather work into, playing 5 games a week or 4 games and finish that way once we get in rhythm. But we got to do it right away, just in case we got to have makeup games. But the schedules, you can tell it's regionalized, but money's an issue for everyone. And so I just hope we don't get to where we have to play the same group over and over. And there's a legitimate chance of that happening. But we're on a big text message with a lot of coaches in the league, and there's some guys, up further north that are having real problems, whether it's, mid-major teams or, teams that are coming in to getting PCR tests. And, the SEC saying they'll take the antigen test. The ACC says no. So we're having, some people, we're not, but some people are having some issues.
Hey, do you think are you guys going to have to manage pitching differently with so many arms available and less games? I mean, how do you foresee that playing out?
Just the same as last year. We want to keep them, safe, but we also want to keep them sharp. And it's going to be guys that go on Friday and Sunday. There'll be guys that go Saturday and Tuesday. We'll kind of just balance it out that way. But we got to keep them sharp. And that's the way I think most guys like to be used. They don't like long time off. And, the fact that we've got a bunch, we can make it work. But it's not an ideal situation, no. And you'll see some things done that, pulling guys out, and you're like, why in the world is he coming out of the game? But there's reasons behind it.
In year 2 with you as head coach, how do you feel that the guys are grasping the aggressive approach that you want to have at the plate, every day in practice and going into games?
It's better. We're still obviously nowhere near where we need to be, but the guys, I think when they see results, like, wow, fastballs are a lot easier to hit. Be ready and don't miss that opportunity. And it's got to sink into them that, there's where I just lost the at bat. So, the one thing that we're still not playing, and again, we haven't gotten into, we've been playing pitcher, catcher, hitter type deals, but the fact that they came in pretty much out of shape, I want to play faster. I want to do certain things. So we're going to ramp that up today, starting today.
With a healthy Reese and the weight changes for both Robbie and Elijah, I guess, how excited are you about this outfield, and how good do you think they can be?
I think they can be really good. I think, top 3 or 4 in the country, if they play up to their potential, and I foresee them doing that. And, Reese is finally 100%. There's no more holding back and the grimacing. And, Cabell, I think, is going to have a huge year. Robbie's Robbie. Robbie has been on an absolute tear. He looks better. He's running better. He's making himself a heck of a prospect. So I do expect them to produce and lead us offensively.
How has Carson Montgomery and the other freshmen just handled the transition of, things amping up, playing more games, preparing to do more?
I think they have done very well, for one. And all of them are going to get a lot of, time on the mound. And, there's some guys that have got to work their way in, we feel like right now offensively. But the potential's there. But those arms they're game ready, right now. They understand it. They're competitive. They're athletic. They check all the boxes. And, Carson and a ton of those freshmen have been really, really impressive.
Bryce Hubbard was a guy that you guys wanted to use a lot last year, but he just struggled a bit, and then he went and pitched well in the summer. I guess, how good do you think he can be when he's on and consistent with his stuff?
Yeah, he's a frontline, weekend guy. Jimmy opened him up, moved him to the other side of the rubber. he just, whenever he'd miss, his misses were always arm side, and up. And, we kind of freed him up because he's slightly across his body, which is fine, but you got to be, correct when you're, as far as where you're heading. And he was too far on the left side, the first base side of the rubber, and he couldn't get it, to stick it in there to right-handed hitters. So it's really helped him. And he's been really, really, really good so far. We expect big things. He's a mature kid too. He's one that learns, from what happened last year. And, he's up in the zone consistently, and he can't do that. And he's made a lot of great adjustments. He's right where we need him to be.
Kyle McMullen's a guy I think you guys are a little bit bummed out about not having last season. With his return, how does that change, I guess, your feelings about how he can fit in for you guys?
Yeah, Kyle's right now, he's got a little bit of, step back. His shoulder's a little bit, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's dead arm because, we're starting to build these guys up. But he's a classic right-hander that's, never going to beat himself. And, what his role is going to be, it's hard to say. But, he's 3 pitches for strikes, and he's a very, very intelligent guy and knows how to work hitters. Kind of a throwback